Hey everyone, and welcome to the third part of my new YouTube series. In this series, I'm going to plan an album using my new digital mini album planner, and then of course at the end I will show you the finished project. In the first two parts, I already showed you which collection I'm using to decorate this album and also how I digitalized all the papers and decorative elements and uploaded them to my digital mini album planner. And then we also finished the decorations for the album cover as well as the first 5 double pages. So if you haven't watched these previous parts yet, then I would highly recommend you to do so, because in this video I'm just jumping right into decorating the next double page. And the next interactive page style I chose to use on my double page number 6 is my interactive page style number 10. And I really love this page style. It just comes with 4 different flaps which you can open up to the sides. And first I grabbed my option number 1 for this page. But then I realized that for the decorative elements I want a rectangle, not a rectangle, but a portrait style photo mat on top of all these flaps. So instead I went back to my page style page and then I chose option number 2. So as you can see now, the flap which is on top of all the other flaps is actually one which I can use a portrait style decorative element on. And for this decorative element, I actually knew that I wanted to use one of those larger greeting cards. And the first one I grabbed was this one with the 2 kangaroo parents, and I really like this card. However, once I've cut it down to the size of the element I want to use it on, I realized that I don't really like the cutout. So instead I chose another one of those cards, and this koala card fitted really well because I could still trim it down to the correct size, and then it still has the white background around it, and it didn't look like as cut as the other one, if that makes sense. So I definitely preferred this one, and from here I could go with choosing my papers and colors matching this illustration. And with page style number 10, I usually like to keep the other 3 flaps very simple, so I would just use some solid colors, and that's what I did here. So I used some of my plain pattern papers, and then also for the background I used this one with a cockatoo on it, but I know that once I cut it down to 8 by 8 inches, I could also use just the pink color of this paper. And then to match the pink color, I wanted to use either the dotted or plate pattern paper from the collection. And then I also knew that I wanted to use this very fun new interactive frame I just recently added to the digital mini album planner. And for using this frame, you first have to ungroup it, and then you can get any decorative cards or stickers you want to use, and you actually want to use them behind this cutout frame. So what I mean by that is you get your decorative elements, and it's really handy that I have them all on this 12 by 12 inch sheet. So yeah, I just grabbed the whole sheet, and then I have to change the position so that it's laying behind this mint frame inside. And then as you can see, you also have to make sure that the whole frame is locked, and then you can just move your decorative elements around to find the perfect cutout to use on the first circle cutout. And the first cutout I could have used is this kangaroo head with the word baby next to it. This fitted very well, so I could then just cut it down to size. And then for the second cutout, I really wanted to use this peekaboo card with the koala peeking from the edge of the card. And first I thought it wouldn't really fit on here, but then I realized that my paper actually wasn't quite right, so I had to double click on the paper, and then I noticed that I can make it work, but I do have to make the frame slightly smaller, which is something you can of course do. So unfortunately, with these pre-made frames I made for you, you cannot just adjust the size because then also the circle cutouts would get larger. So I ended up just making it smaller. And then I also had to adjust the size of this white background. So this white extra background is just like if you want to use another color on here or maybe add some text. And also if you want to use one of those pen and papers, you could like insert them in here by using drag and drop. So yeah, I had to adjust the size to make it fit, and then I actually didn't really like the kangaroo on top here because it's not facing the other page. I would have preferred it like if this double page would be the other way around, then it would look great, but this way I didn't really like it. So I ended up deleting it, and then I dragged my peekaboo card to the top, and then I wanted something to match this peekaboo card. So I was looking for another decorative element with a pink background, and I actually used this wombat card here and dragged it to the bottom, and then I also cut it to size. Now, before looking for the next decorative element, I actually wanted to change the paper of the frame first, and I ended up using this grayish paper. And then for the decorative element on the middle circle frame, I wanted to use this like eucalyptus leaf here. So first I was using it from this card, and then I actually saw that there would be another card which would fit even better. So yeah, I just dragged it in the correct position and then I cut it down to size. And with these frames, I actually like to have some of the decorative elements laying behind the circle cutouts, and then other stickers or cutouts I actually prefer to just lay on top, just to give it a little bit of dimension. And I was thinking to use one of these little phrases. So I grabbed this 6x6 inch paper sheets with all the different phrases first, and then I was just cutting one down to size. I also grabbed one of the ephemera pieces, which is this beautiful pink flower, and I also added this on top, so I thought it would look really nice together with the leaf or the eucalyptus I already placed behind the frame. And then I wasn't really happy with what the phrase looked like. I think that it just didn't look as great with the pink flower because it was the same color. So I was actually looking for another phrase with another background color. And then I also ended up changing the background color of the whole frame. So instead of using this gray pattern paper, I used this blue pattern paper. And I think this really gives a better contrast with the decorative elements I'm using. And then just to have a longer phrase, because I think it looks nicer, I actually changed the phrase I would use. And it also has a brown color, but it's just a little bit longer. So I changed it to this little love phrase, which I know I've already used. So in the end, I might have to double check if I have enough of those. But I think I have them like 3 or 4 times, so it's fine to use them more than just once. And with the decoration of this double page, I was really happy, but then I remembered that I have already used this paper with the polka dots on it on the previous page. And as I said in my previous video, that's something I always want to keep in mind. I don't really like to use the same paper combinations on 2 double pages in a row. So instead of the pink dotted paper, I went with this plate paper, and I think it looks just as nice. It's also in this pinkish color, so it fits very well. And then to finish up this double page, I just had to cut down my paper so that they would be in the correct scale. To do that, I used the cutting mat for page style number 10, and I only had to do that for the plate pattern paper because all the other papers I used on this double page are actually solid colors. So yeah, changing the size of the papers to the correct size doesn't really change the appearance because it would just look the same. Now on the next double page, I decided to use my interactive page style number 28, and this is also a very fun page style with 2 flaps you can open to the left and the right side, and this actually closes with a magnet closure in the middle. And when using an interactive page style like this with like 2 main interactive elements, I know that I want to find two decorative elements which go very well together. So I was looking for cards with the same background, and I actually found the perfect two cards. So I knew which ones I want to use, and I started from here. So first I cut down the first one, and then I just duplicated this card so that it would be the same size, and then I found the second cutout I want to use. And then I just positioned those two cards on the flaps I want to use them on, but I also knew that I wanted to use a frame to use behind those. And you probably know by now that I really love using my scallop frames, but as promised in my previous video, in this video I also want to show you how you could use just like basic frames which you wouldn't need a electric or non-electric die cutting machine for. So that's what I'm doing here. I just grabbed those rectangle frames, and I actually have like rounded corners, but that's something you can easily change, which I will show you in a minute. But first I had to adjust the size of the frame, so that's what I did here. I just had my decorative element laying on top, and then I could just adjust it according to the size of this journaling card. And once I did that, I then copied the frame so that I would use the same size of the frame for the card on the right side. And then I was quite happy with what it looked like. And once I changed the positions of the cards to be behind the magnet piece in the middle, I noticed that the heart would be way too large to use on here because it actually covers up the faces of these cute illustrations. And of course I could have just make this heart a little bit smaller to use on here, but instead I decided to delete it for now, and then I will go and find another frame to use as the magnet piece. But before, I was also adjusting the corners of the illustrations as well as the frames on here. And as you can see, it can just be easily done by using this button on the toolbar. And then for the magnet closure, I actually wanted to use this scalloped circle frame, which I would choose most of the time for closures like this. And then I had to adjust the size so that I would no longer cover up the illustrations, but it's still like laying on top of those two flaps so that I know that it would keep these two flaps shut. And then I could look for paper combinations to use on this double page. And for the flaps, I was just using one of the solid cardstocks or pattern papers. And then for the background, I wasn't quite sure if I like the plate blue paper or the one with the stars. I kept the stars for now, and then I could continue by decorating the right side of this double page. And I actually just recently created this tuck spot, or like it looks like pockets and it can be used like pockets, but it's not a like page style itself. Instead, it is just one of those decorative elements I wanted to have as add-ons, especially for those page flaps. So that's what I'm using here, and I also added those two tags, and these tags are actually not included in the planner just yet, but I will make sure that I add them as soon as I have created them in different sizes. So you will get them for free if you already got the planner, so make sure to double check the next time you want to make an album. So yeah, I added those pockets and the tags, and then I was also looking for some matching paper. And whenever I have some smaller elements to decorate, I always keep in mind that I also have the 6x6 inch paper pad. So rather than using papers from the 12x12 inch paper pad, I am looking for papers from the 6x6 inch collection. Then I had to find something to add on the magnet closure piece, and I knew that the collection comes with some of those circled ephemera pieces or cutouts. So I was looking for the page including those, and then I first chose this green baby love card here, and then I actually changed it to the flower in the middle because I was thinking to add some pink to this double page, so I needed a pink element to also add some pink to the right side. Then again, I had to make sure that all these papers I'm using are in the correct size or in the correct scaling. So for this, I needed my cutting mat for page style number 28, and then I used these different elements on the cutting mat as templates to cut down my papers from my digital paper stash, and then I dragged them back into the interactive page style. But as said, for all the decorative frames and tags I included in my mini album planner, I don't have cutting mats because you can always adjust the sizes of those. So instead you would have to lock them into place and then lay your papers on top to cut them down to the correct size. And then you can also unlock your elements and drag them in. Okay, so now let's decorate the next double page, and for the interactive page style I wanted to use one where I would have a large interactive element, so one in the size 6 by 8 inches. So I was deciding between page style 22 and page style 35, and then I decided to go with 22 even though I'm using this quite often, so maybe I should have done 35 instead. And the reason for choosing a page style with a large interactive element is that I actually wanted to use another one of those larger greeting cards, but this time I didn't want to cut them down. So I just grabbed the card I wanted to use from my digital paper stash, and then I just laid it onto the large 6 by 8 inch page flap, or not page flap, but interactive flap on this page style. And then I grabbed another scallop frame to add underneath this card, and the one I chose is the inner scallop frame in the 6 by 8 inch size. And then I just had to change the size of the frame slightly to have the card fit perfectly on there. After choosing a solid paper for the background behind the frame, I also had to change the position of the frame by actually dragging it behind these tags, which are the swing closures for this page style. And then I was looking for the perfect paper combination, and I ended up using this leaf pattern paper again. So I actually found another website where I could order more of this collection. So now I'm not so worried with using this paper. And I thought it would match really well with the illustration on the right side. And I also had to cover up the banner on the greeting card saying baby shower because that doesn't fit here. So I was just using another one of these scallop frames. And again, this frame in this size is not yet available in, or not yet included in my digital mini album planner, but it will be soon. And this is the perfect size for these small phrase cutouts. I also chose to decorate the corners of the left page by just adding some of these corner scallop frames. And then I was thinking about what to add on these swing tag closures. So first I was thinking to use one of the sticker like strips from the sticker sheet, and there were actually one with the illustrations of the leaves and the flower here. So that's what I grabbed, and then I cut it down to size and laid it onto the tag. But I also wanted to change the tag shape. So this is a very basic tag you could easily do by just using your cutting board. But I also just included, and it's actually not available in your planner yet. So by the time you're watching this video, it might be already in there. But this is another one of those tags I want to do some different sizes. So that's what I grabbed here and added to this page style. And then I just had to delete the old tags. And then for the second tag, I also tried some other cutouts from this same sticker sheet, but then I didn't really like it, and I was actually looking for a different illustration on another paper sheet. So I actually liked the leaf image, but with the yellow I found it to be a little bit too colorful. So instead I went for another leaf, which is just this green leaf on a white background. So that's what I chose here, and I know that I can use it twice because I have this paper sheet more than just once. So I just trimmed it down to size, laid it on the tag, and then I just copied the tag for the second tag as well. As said in my last video, I really love these scallop frame corners for adding some ephemera pieces on top. So that's what I did here. I just grabbed this sticker or ephemera piece and then I added it to the left corner. Now I want to show you an option of saving pattern paper. So as I said, I got this paper pack again. It's not shipped yet, but yeah, I still really love this paper. So if I can save it up, that's something I want to do. So what you could do is you could just use like half of the paper on a page and then just add a different pattern paper to the other side of the page. And I actually like to not add them right next to each other, but instead leave a little gap so that you can still see kind of like the line of the cardstock you are using. So yeah, that's definitely an option. And another option would be to add photos instead of the paper. So if you want to add like a large photo grid on here, you wouldn't have to add them on top of the paper anyway. So that's definitely something to keep in mind for saving up some papers. So I just added this 6 by 8 inch grid so that I would just have to use a little strip of this floral pattern paper, but it's still there to decorate this double page. And then on the grid you can just add your photos, or you could of course also do some journaling by adding some text to the photo mats. But because I don't have any photos to add yet, I will just remove this grid again and go back with a full pattern paper on this page, because I will craft this album, but I will add photos much later. Now let's decorate the last double page for this part of the series, which is already double page number 9. And for this double page, I chose my interactive page style 31. And the first thing I added is this beautiful pattern paper with all the animal illustrations, and I think I haven't even used it yet in this album. It's a very busy pattern paper, so for the left side I definitely want to break it down by just using some solid colors. Or at least that is what I thought first. So I was just trying out these solid pattern papers, but then I found it a little bit boring, and I also added one of these 5 by 7 inch greeting cards to the middle, to the basic page of this page style. And I actually chose this one with the Hello Baby on it, because I know that I can cut it down to size, because I actually want this to be in a square shape when I add it to this background, so that it would like fit with the basic page around it. And then for some reason I wasn't quite sure if I like these plain solid colors on the flaps of this pocket. So I actually tried out the plate pattern papers from the collection, so the pink and the blue one. And then I also wanted to add another decorative frame to the right side. So that's what I grabbed here, and it's just like this strip with a scallop border. And after I added this to the right side, I was trying out some other paper combinations, and then I actually went back to the solid colors and used the paper with the dots on the right side. After using my cutting mats and cutting the pattern paper for the right side to the correct size, I wasn't quite happy with the cutout of this paper. But you can always double click on the template and then find another cutout. And I know that this would like cut my 12 by 12 inch paper in a random size, but still I really like to have two full animals and none of the animals cut off. So yeah, this cutout worked way better and I left it like this. I then also trimmed down the paper for the decorative frame on the right side, and then I was actually done with this double page. I now think that I could have added something to the strip as well, like maybe a phrase or a decorative element. But yeah, I left it like this, and then I also want to show you what you would have to do for the open page style. So again, I didn't include the decorating and adding photos to the open page styles in these videos because I don't want them to be too long. But with the card we used here on the left side, I just want to show you what it would look like on the open page style. So as you can see with this page style, you also have to decorate the insides of the flaps as well as the whole basic page here. And at this point, I'm actually not worrying about the pattern papers I'm using, because I know that once I craft this album, I will probably just use any scraps I have left in like solid colors. And then I also took the card from the closed page style, and I had already cut it down to a square format because I knew that this would look better once you have opened up this page. So I just positioned it in the middle of the page. And then I just backed it onto a scallop frame because I think it looks much better for the open page style. But then with the closed page style, you wouldn't even see the frame because it is covered up by the flaps from the side. And that's it for today's video. So I hope that you enjoyed watching it and that you will actually stick around for the next part, in which we will decorate the last two double pages, and then I will also show you the final album. As always, if you enjoyed watching this video, I would really love to get your feedback in the comments. Also, make sure to leave a thumbs up. This really helps my channel to grow. And then I'm hoping you're having a great day, and I see you in my next video. Bye!